Welcome to video 3 of expository graphics, so we're going to talk about adding text as a single label. So let's take we're going to make a text data frame where we will have the text and then we will graph that text. So here is the text to test this out. So if I look at the text data frame, for instance, I have the text, the X, and the Y. So what have I done? I've done a ggplot, the data set MPG, with X being displacement, Y being highway, and added the points. That's what we've always been doing. Then I've taken that and I've saved that in G1. Then I've taken that and added to that a geom text where I'm picking the X and the Y. The label is going to be text, and I'm taking that from text data frame and adding that. Now, where did it put this? Well, let's see. It is centered at the point 540, right, which is the X and Y variables I gave it in this data frame. Okay, so that's where it's going to center the text. If I want it centered on, if I want the text to be placed in the corner of my graph, then I'm going to change my text data frame. And now I'm going to tell it I want X to be infinity, which is going to be the largest X value on my graph, and Y infinity. That way I don't have to know how big the X and Y are going to be. So I'm going to set that to be my text data frame. But now if I do that and just implement what I did before, so if I just do, let's see if I can pull that back up. Let's take that part out. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. Let's take that out. If I just did that, right? You see, it's putting the text there, but it's centering it at infinity. I don't really want that. So let's see, instead, we're going to add to that some options here. So the options I want to add are that I'm going to vertically justify it, and horizontally justify it. Oops, I don't want bottom, I want top, don't I? Horizontally justified to be right. And let's see what that does. Aha! Now it put my little text right up in the corner of the graph. Okay, so I vertically justified it to top and horizontally justified it to right. Now, I want you to take a minute and try to do this. Pause the video and try to do the same thing, but put that text in the bottom left corner. So I want you to see if you can get it to show up right there. So what did you change? You should have changed the X to minus infinity, the Y to minus infinity, and then put it at the bottom left. Okay, another thing we could do is we could use max function to find where the maxes occur. Let's see what this is giving us. If I look at label, so what I have found is I've given it a label and a two-liner. So I've said this is a new line, \n gives me a new line. And I've found the maximum of the displacement to be 7, so that's the largest point. The maximum of the highway to be 44, that's the largest this way. So that tells me where the largest value is, both from an X and a Y perspective. Okay, so that is now in this tibble that I've created. And now I can tell it to take my graph and take this label that I gave it and put it in that AES, so I'm going to put it at that location, but I'm going to top and right justify it there. So now my text is placed where it's top and right justified at the maximum values that I would get. Some other functions that you might want to play with are geom H line for adding a horizontal line, or geom V line for adding a vertical line, geom rectangle, which would draw a rectangle around points. And I can see if I want to look at geom rectangle, then look that up, and that will tell you that you need the boundaries of the rectangle are defined by the aesthetics x-min, x-max, y-min, and y-max. So if I added that to my graph, let's see, let's put a square on my graph, a rectangle, where I'm going to say x-min is 5, x-max is 6, y-min is, let's see, I'm going to put it right about here. So let's see, I'm going to go from 35, y-max is 40. And let's just see what we get. And I get a rectangle. Now there's other options you can have with your rectangle, so I want you to play with that. There's also geom segment, where you can use to draw attention to a certain point with an arrow. So for exercise 3, you're going to add a text box to a corner of your graph and then put either a rectangle or an arrow on your graph to give you some chance to play with this. Come back, this will be the end of this video. Come back in the next video, we will talk about scales.